Welcome to another installment of Underground Lounges, To Be Fair, where we speak about sports very briefly and not as often as everybody else. This is our take on some of these topics. To my left is my brother Spank. To my right is my cousin Vic.
And in the middle, it's
Big Pepper. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that later in the show. First things first, fellas. I want to start the show off by giving one of my brothers his flowers. Well deserved, earned. When you talk about impact on a game, everything that he's been able to do in the community, in the cities that he's played in, and all of those things. Shout out to my brother Dwight Howard on your Hall of Fame nod. Also, shout out to Carmelo Anthony for your Hall of Fame nod. Much loved, much earned, well-respected guys. It couldn't happen to two guys, but I want to shine a light on Dwight first and foremost because out of all of, I love that. I love that.
I was like, where'd that come from?
Because all things considered, man, with everything that Dwight has gone through in his career, he's gotten to a point where he's felt underappreciated.
Yeah.
He wasn't getting his flowers. He wasn't getting his respect. Was left off of the NBA top 75 crew, which I think is egregious.
Yeah, that was bullshit.
Yeah, that was some bullshit. But we got it right with this one. First ballot Hall of Famer, and it's much deserved. Fellas, what's y'all take on Dwight getting into the Hall, first ballot, no questions asked?
Nah, I think it was perfectly timed. Like, he was definitely a first ballot. I do think that it was a shame that he was left off of the top 75. I think some of that has to do with like recency bias and people not really knowing how good and what he
Recency
did.
bias, I like that.
What he did in Orlando. If you just look up his Orlando years, like a defensive center that led his team to the finals, and like he was the guy. It wasn't no 1A, 1B,
guy.
or you know what I mean. Like it wasn't a big two. It wasn't like a duo. They had some really good pieces around him, but he was the dominant force. That's like the reason Orlando even got to the finals was because of Dwight.
It's kind of like the Shaq syndrome. Like since he's been gone, Orlando's still been trying to find their way back to prominence since he was the lead guy, man. I think people forget how dominant he was early in his career. I think it started to go left in Houston when it didn't go right with him and James Harden, and then he went to LA, and then him and Kobe had they thing. Yeah. But he
was hurt too. Like
he was hurt dealing with a lower back issue and dealing with some other injuries. But just talk about his impact and what he's been able to do. How you think that make him feel knowing that he's solidified now as a first ballot Hall of Famer and not being the top 75 is crazy?
I think it make him feel better, but I also think he feel like, man, I still got some years left. I should still be in the league.
He shouldn't be feeling like that.
He shouldn't be feeling like that.
No, he shouldn't.
But you kept saying it on the podcast, like, yo, I can still play. This and that.
All of us feel like
all
that.
Of us feel like that. Okay,
all of us feel like when we sitting at home and we watching games, and the game passes us by, we all feel like we got some fight left.
Yeah.
But getting back in NBA shape
is a big difference.
It's a big difference. And I'm 38. Dwight is older than me. He 39, 40 years old. It's okay to hang him up.
I feel like
it's okay.
I feel like though he feels like he could be serviceable. Not like, oh, I'm about to go out there and dominate, but if you need a backup big or something like that, y'all don't think I could give y'all 12 to 15 minutes of like just some solid play.
Right.
I know y'all not asking me to get 12 to 15 or whatever, but if you need somebody to spell some minutes, I think that's more where he's at.
I think it got tricky like that with Melo as well, even in OKC. Like, when you've been a star so long, a superstar in a league for 10, 12 years, and somebody is asking you to do a serviceable job, that takes some getting used to. I think at this point in Dwight's career, at the end, teams probably feel like, bro, you coming in here as Dwight Howard. You're not coming in here trying to be somebody that's just going to be serviceable. Like, you're going to give us more of a headache with your 10 minutes than you will be opposed to not getting them. What's your opinion?
But I feel like he was serviceable with the Lakers.
Yeah, and the Sixers. And the Sixers behind Embiid.
He wasn't a prominent role.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was just he was a serviceable, steady role player for that team. And I think even when he talks, I think he would understand if someone signs me right now, I'm not going there to be the guy, but I can give you some minutes.
Right.
So I think like mindset wise, he would be in a better place when the transition happened for Melo. In Melo's defense, though, with the OKC shit.
What the hell you laughing at?
Because I'm still laughing at you. When I said, yeah, because you know he still want to play, so he like, I don't know why he think that.
It's okay. It's
My bad, man. My
and
bad.
that's perfectly okay. I'm glad you started your Hall of Fame clock,
Right.
and you got in there. Speaking of Dwight, he also just signed for the Big Three. He's
Oh, wow, okay.
he's one of the first in a long time since the Big Three has started. Superstar caliber guys
Yeah.
that has signed up and hook up with Ice Cube and get into the Big Three. What's your
What's
thoughts
up?
on that?
He should dominate. He should definitely dominate there. It's a few big men in there that be dominating, but it's really like
Ain't
a
no
guard
goddamn
league.
Dwight Howard.
Yeah, there's no Dwight Howard for sure.
He gonna be a problem
He
in a
gonna be a
3-on-3 setting.
problem.
Who the fuck want to fight with you every Saturday and Sunday
Yeah,
at 12 noon on TV
Heck yeah.
and
Right,
3-on-3? That's gonna be a sight to see.
Yeah,
No, for
that'll
sure.
be fun. That'll be fun to watch. But I think he will be able to do some damage in there.
Yeah, I'm glad that Cube was able to get it right with Dwight. And that's always been my one critique on the Big Three.
Yeah.
Get that star power, brother.
Yep.
Open that checkbook up to the right places.
Yeah.
Like you fumbled with the Caitlin Clark thing. That rattled a lot of cages. I
Fumble-rooski.
understand it was a fumble-rooski. I understand why you did it though.
Right.
I understand as a businessman, your job is to create as much excitement and attention towards your business and what you're trying to build. I feel like as a former player, as somebody that was interested in playing in the Big Three,
Yeah.
you should have allocated them resources to a Lou Will, to a Dwight, to a Melo, to a Jamal Crawford.
Could have got them all at once.
Could have got all of us in the Big
that'd
Three
have changed
at
the
once.
whole
That would have
platform,
changed the
for sure.
entirety of how it's looked at, how it's
Yep.
perceived with retired NBA players and overseas players as well. But I'm glad he got it right with Dwight. I'm glad Dwight is on board to push it forward. I'm still a big fan of the Big Three. I love what Cube is doing. I love that he's giving our guys another opportunity, another way to feed their families. And shit, hoop and be competitive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
What y'all feel about the NBA linking up with, was it Michael Jordan? Well, they 3-on-3. Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
Nah, what was that?
Yeah. Michael Jordan and the NBA is getting together to do a 3-on-3. I don't know if it's retired players.
Where you see that at?
I can't remember where I saw that. I might have saw it on Twitter.
I don't love
I hope
that.
you didn't get sent tail.
It might be
He
a
might
lot.
have got sent tail.
It might be a lot.
He might have got sent tail. That shit would have been on
I was
everything.
about to say, that should've been all
Anything
over.
with Michael
true.
Jordan basketball.
in NBA.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, you might have got
might have been-
sent
I
tail.
might
But
have
if
been sent
if they were to do that,
Yeah.
I wouldn't love it, man. Like,
It's a bad look for the NBA.
yeah, listen, Cube already got the vehicle. He already has the infrastructure. Help him with that.
Help him with that,
And
right.
they not competitive. They're not competitors of yours. It's all
At all.
former players. It's all guys that's been in and that's out right now. Be more of an ally opposed to being a competitor. You know what I'm saying?
And for the Big Three, it's like, y'all signed somebody that was getting busy in the Big Three. Joe Johnson was done.
Yeah.
That
yeah.
shit
Got
Yeah.
busy in the Big Three
Yeah.
and they brought him back. I'm like, yo, like, so if they were to create another league as a competitor to that would be messed up. Because I'm
Absolutely.
like, y'all still used a couple of players that were in the Big Three.
Absolutely. Cube, this is a great opportunity, brother. This is a great opportunity. Keep going out there. Keep seeking guys that you know that can change the trajectory of the whole company and the way that the Big Three is going. I like the fact that they're going into more of an ownership mode of cities. It's not so much of a tour. They trying to
tour, right.
They trying to get it where Miami got a squad, Atlanta got a
right.
squad, LA got a squad.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I think that is a fire concept. But that tell me that y'all got money.
They got it somewhere.
That tell me y'all got some cheese. Come on, Cube. Open up that book, man. Continue to get guys, bro. So salute the Ice Cube. Shout out to Dwight for pushing another black man for, pushing another league for,
Let's get
in the
it.
culture of sports and athletes. I think that's a great link up. I think that's gonna serve Dwight well because he still got that competitive spirit going. Future Hall of Famer.
He was just playing overseas, right? Wasn't he
Yep,
still-
was just playing over
Boogie Cousins should come back, man. Get Boogie
Yeah,
Cousins
go
in there too.
Boogie is another name that I
Boogie
forgot.
another name.
Go get Boogie.
Yes, Boogie is another one that you could have went and got. I think the Caitlin Clark thing was a flub, and that's where we are present day.
Well, hopefully the superstars going in hoop because a couple went back and got hurt quick. Shout out to AI. Shout out to Kenyon Martin.
Hey.
Shout out to a couple niggas got hurt quick.
No,
I'm like, "God
because how it started versus where it is,
Yeah.
I think it was completely different. I think it started in the right direction, and some of them guys didn't realize, oh, this is real.
It's gonna be real competitive.
Yeah, this is real. This ain't all-star game.
Yeah.
This ain't a one-off.
Dudes
This is
after competing.
Yeah, we out here really competing and trying to put the pedal to the metal. So shout out to Cube and the Big Three. And again, congrats to Carmelo. Congrats to Dwight on our Hall of Fame nods. Much love and respect from the Underground Lounge.
Yeah, we appreciate y'all. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Let's get it.
Speaking of Big Threes as well, Rich Paul recently sat down with Pat McAfee via Zoom, and he said Miami he doesn't consider Miami a Big Three. I disagree wholeheartedly, Rich.
I disagree, Rich.
Big time disagree with that one, Rich.
Disagree, Rich.
I don't know what Rich was trying to get off with that. What's your opinion?
Nah, all right, fuck it.
Let's start from the top.
Nah,
let's start
I'm
from the
go there.
top.
I just feel like Rich Paul and that camp, they be trying to rewrite history to where like they've gotten some unfair criticism in LeBron or whatever, and I think to overcompensate some of that, they're trying to rewrite history because along with that, Bron talking about Celtics were a Big Four, not a Big Three, and it's like they're trying to make their shit look bigger than what it was, but that was a Big Three. Y'all literally got 3 number ones from 3 different teams and put them on the same team. Now you gonna tell us just because Chris Bosh adopted and took a role that he wasn't a 1? Like, no, that was a Big 3.
Yeah, and you could say there was 3 of the top 10 players in the league.
Yeah, I'm like, there's no way. Like, how do you not consider that a Big 3?
Right.
By all sources, they were a Big Three.
Oh, if it wasn't a Big 3,
It was a Big Three because you can even tell how it was introduced. Y'all did
had
a
a parade and
stage. Y'all had a
stage,
parade,
fireworks and shit, like,
Fireworks, not 1, not 2.
but y'all weren't a Big 3, but there was 3 niggas on stage. What are we doing?
Yeah, Rich. On some hoop shit, I don't agree with that one.
Yeah.
I thought I agreed with Bron at first about the Big Four comment that he made about the Celtics, and then I thought about it. Doe wasn't Doe at that time.
At the first year.
Now that everything is said and done, and that is a moment in history, you can look back and you can give Rondo his flowers, and you can say, damn, he was just as impactful as the Big Three guys. But saying that they were a Big Four, that's not how it was considered at the time.
Nah.
Absolutely not. That's
That's
like
not how it
saying
was considered
the
at the
Lakers were a Big 3 because they had Shaq, Kobe, and Derek Fisher.
Yeah.
Like,
And Fish was an integral part
Fish
of
was
what
an
they were
integral
doing.
part, but not at any point did they consider him a Big 3. Like, nah, I ain't rolling with that either.
Yeah,
I'm
not rolling with that one either.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Come on now.
That was quick.
Let's keep it real.
And we still got some more hoop to talk. You know what I'm saying?
That was quick.
Yeah.
I
Shit.
mean, we could give Rich his flowers, but he's saying in his defense, he felt like because Chris Bosh was like not really Chris Bosh
But that
when he played with them.
listen, if
took
we
a
the
role.
Big Three,
Yeah.
and just because Vic say, hey, I'm gonna play the back,
Yeah.
that don't make him less of the Big Three.
That's a fact. That's
He's
a
still
fact.
part of the like y'all the Plastic Cup boys, ain't it?
Yeah.
Right.
Just because you open, you say, hey, I'm cool. You
Yeah,
still
I'm
part
still
of
part of the team. Yeah, for sure.
So it's one thing to be self-appointed, and it's one thing to be appointed.
Yeah.
Chris Bosh was appointed the third in that Big Three. That's why it was even as much hoopla going around that group being formed as it was.
Yeah, even D Wade said he took a back seat for LeBron to like really lead the team.
Yeah,
So,
and
you
D
know,
Wade not saying he wasn't part of the Big Three.
Exactly.
Yeah. We disagreeing, Rich.
Yeah.
Pull up to the lounge and come holler at us,
Yeah,
brother.
we still fucks with you though.
You already
Yeah,
know
we
it,
still rock with
1000%.
Rich. I just feel like on this topic, I
Man, I can tell y'all Rich Paul stories for days. Shout out to they don't get called the Four Horsemen no more. But shout out to Bron, shout out to Randy, shout out to Mav, and shout out to Rich.
Yeah.
Man, when I was coming out of high school, them 4 brothers, they showed me so much fucking love. It's unreal. I remember one time we were in Cleveland, but we were working out in Akron. We might have been at St. Vincent, St. Mary's, or wherever we were working out at that time. And they wanted to go to like a party or something. I wasn't dressed. So Mav took me to a store. He took me to a clothing store and bought me a wardrobe worth of shit.
Oh shit.
Being the real nigga I am, being the kid that I am, how I was raised.
Right.
The next day I walked up to him and I handed him $250. That's how much my clothes was.
Oh, shit.
And he looked at my money and threw it on the floor. And he laughed because it had surprised him that I didn't look at that as a handout.
Right.
I looked at it as a loan. I looked
Right.
at it as you doing me a favor. Here go the money for what you paid for me. And from that moment on, man, we've been tight. We've been friends. Obviously, in age, everybody got kids and businesses. We don't kick it like we used to. But Mav, Rich, Randy, Bron, them 4 dudes showed me so much fucking love when I was coming up. So I always revere them brothers, and I always get them their love and their respect.
Got a cool Rich Paul story.
No, I ain't got no good. I lost like 30,000 in math, but go ahead, let's talk about that. You can tell your story.
He's like, yeah, we can
I
gloss
don't
over
want to
that.
tell
We can
mine.
go
Tell your story.
Yeah.
Tell your story.
Speaking of clothing and Rich Paul, the first NBA awards that we went to was in New York. And I just remember was helping you run around, get your stuff together. I had about like an hour and a half to find like something to wear. Get back to the hotel, right into the thing. Run around some stores, I find something. You know, you're supposed to take the label off on your jacket or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm walking in the hotel, putting jacket on, still getting dressed, but I'm like, man, I don't got no scissors, no nothing, man. F it. I'm walking through, kind of, trying to straighten my stuff out. I happened to walk by Rich Paul, and I didn't. Like, I knew who he was, but obviously he don't know who I am.
Right.
So he see me kind of, fixing my clothes. He's like, hey, man, you straight? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. He's like, on the label on the side, you're supposed to take that off, make everything look clean. I'm like, yeah. It's like, he's like, you need some scissors or something, right? He's like, yeah. He's like, give me a second. I don't know where he went. Came back with some scissors.
Right.
Helped me get, like, my shit together or whatever. He's like, nah. He's like, man, you looking good. I'm like, appreciate it. Fast forward to the next season. We had one of your games. We walked by him, and he actually recognized me. Like, hey, man, how you been? You good? I'm like,
still solid dudes.
Like, damn. I'm like, this motherfucker recognized who I was.
That's
solid dudes, man. They solid dudes.
That's
I
what's
get
up.
that too.
And shout out to Bron, because I love where Bron is right now. He is on his I don't give a fuck tour. I'm glad that he's in year 22 and he's sitting down, he doing interviews, he doing pods. He in like a Jay-Z bag. You know how Jay-Z be quiet for a long time, and then when the music come out,
a little bit,
he dispel all things being said about him, rumors and stories. I love the fact that Bron is at that point where he's starting to be more transparent with the things that he hear and people say about him. I love that shit.
Shout out to
them guys.
Shout out to Bron. Whenever the season is over, he'll come by the lounge. Man, kick it with your boy Lou Will.
We right here in the valley.
You know what I'm
We right
saying?
here in the valley, Bron. Pull up on us.
We got some stories, bro.
Man, speaking of after the playoffs, now that we at the beginning and getting into it, what do y'all think about like the play-in? Obviously, the 2 games yesterday and just the format overall. Like, teams that might not be close having a chance to solidify a playoff spot after 82 games.
I didn't like it at first, but the past 2 years, man, the playing has been popping. I've been hyped to watch the games and stuff. Like, shout out to the Warriors versus the Memphis Grizzlies. That was a dope game. The other game before that, I mean, was it before?
Orlando,
Orlando and what's the name? Was
Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta. It was a good. It wasn't a good game, but it was exciting. You know what I'm saying, to watch.
For a little
You
bit.
know what I'm saying? Shout out to Trey. You know what I mean?
Trey lost his fucking marbles, didn't he?
Yeah.
He threw that bitch right
through that. Tried to say he was
fucking referee flinched and shit. Yeah.
Like, you got mad over a defensive guy not getting the call?
Let me give you my opinion on the play-in.
Yeah.
As a player, as a former player, I hated it. And it has created some good TV and entertainment because those teams are there and they're playing for something.
Right.
My cleanup with it is, if I'm 8 to 10 games better than you, why am I still proving that I got to be better than you and being in this play-in? If you got an 8 seed that's going into it as an 8 seed, and you got a 9 seed, and there's an 8 to 10 game gap. I've been better than you all year.
That's tough.
I shouldn't have to have one more good night to do this.
Right.
Honestly, that's my gripe with it. Is after the 8 seed, when them teams be 8, 9 games back, like, I just don't feel like after 82 games, like, we could talk about it specifically this year. Memphis was at 8. Memphis had a lot of problems, but they weathered the storm. Injuries, coach getting fired, ups and downs or whatever. They still managed to be 8 games better than 9.
Right.
I just don't feel like the team that's 8 games behind even deserve a chance to knock them out. I'm like, listen, everybody go through stuff. Memphis weathered the storm.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're 8 games behind, I don't feel like they really deserve a chance to get in. And if you think about it, the most entertaining games that we usually get out of this are the 7 versus 8.
Yeah.
These games that's going on today, these 9 versus 10s is nasty.
Yeah.
Like, don't nobody want to watch that.
Yeah, we ain't really tripping on the 9 and the 10s.
Yeah, but you know they want the underdog story, you know.
No, they want extra games.
They want extra games and
cheese.
revenues.
Don't ever
want-
think
yeah,
they care about the goddamn
underdog.
underdog. Don't ever think
Look,
they care
motherfuckers
about
is
the
down
underdog.
almost 30 points.
Right,
like,
right, right.
They been told you they don't want to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, God, yeah. They been showed you that. Don't give them an extra night.
Right.
Yeah,
That's funny as hell.
let them
They already
boys.
in Cancun.
Yeah, let them
Yo,
boys
y'all
combo
the
wobble or
10th seed.
something.
Come on, man.
Let me ask y'all. let me ask y'all this though: would you go back to the regular format of 8 teams on both sides, or would you do a conference list, 16 game playoff
16
type?
playoff type?
Yeah, NCAA style.
Right,
Tournament style, 16 games. I don't like that. I
like
think
the
we
I
should,
don't like the tournament style.
Yeah.
I think we should go 8-8 because
Yeah.
I think people that don't play the game don't understand how hectic that would be for travel as a player. Especially I already done played 82 games. I already done went through the ringer of the season. Let's say the Knicks get matched up with a Phoenix
Right.
Yeah.
first round. And then Phoenix wins the first round
Yeah.
and they
Now
get
they gotta
matched
come
up
all
with
the way
Philly.
over.
Yeah.
Like I got to go cross country for
Right.
four.
And that's
That's
my
tough.
reward for being a top seed.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
that's
tough.
not rewarding.
It's not rewarding.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people that's suggesting that we do that style, they don't understand our shit is completely different than how college is operating.
Yeah, because in college they all be in that city, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
that region.
and they doing that for 2.5, 3 weeks. The playoffs is 6 weeks.
Yeah.
You dig what I'm saying?
Right.
And so if it's some Eastern Conference teams that get hot, and like I said, I'm the Lakers or somebody, and I just so happen to deal with a 16 seed in the Washington Wizards, and then I deal with an 8 seed
Right.
in the goddamn Atlanta Hawks. Like I'm 4 hours every time, and that's my reward for being
Right.
a top
good
seed
all year.
Yeah, like obviously you'll get your home games, but if you're playing in the series, you got to make it a series
yeah.
because it ain't gonna be one and done.
Yeah.
Right.
It's still gonna be a 7-game series. So at some point, I got to go over there. I don't like that idea at all. I say we go back to the old school version of it. I don't know what was wrong with it. It wasn't broke. I don't know why they fixed it and kind of tuned it up and turned it into this play-in thing. You know, I'm all for the game evolving and trying different ideas and being innovative.
Right.
But some of this shit just be gimmicky. to
I
me.
think they tried to do that to help curve some of the tanking. Like, so if it's like half the league is going to be out of it, like even the teams that we think don't deserve to be there in a normal season, about 3 weeks ago, they would have all been mailing it in. Like,
Right,
man, we
right,
done.
right. That's true.
Now you
That's
have
true.
4 more teams that are like, well, if we this close, we got to at least
got another
we got to
chance.
at least stick it out. But like the entertainment part, it's only really been the 7 versus 8 games. It ain't been the 9-10. Like it ain't really
Exactly.
been competitive. So I feel like yes, it needs to be addressed, that issue of like not having so many teams just cashing it in 3 to 4 weeks before
Who
the
was
end of the
Miami
season.
that year? When they went? Oh, they was the 8th seed, I think. They was the 8th seed.
Yeah, they had to go through the play-in.
Yeah, they had to go through the plan.
Another thing I think they need to work on is the NBA awards.
NBA awards?
Yeah, in the 67-game limit. You know, this year only 82 players are eligible for postseason awards. That's that's less than 16% of the entire NBA.
Wow.
And that's based on the 67-game mark. I don't agree with it because some of those things are legitimate injuries. Some of it is load management. And let me say this, why let me get on my soapbox for a minute about load management. This is what fans got to know about load management. Stop taking y'all frustration out on the players. There's not one NBA player that is showing up and saying, I don't want to play tonight. That is a conversation that's had with the medical staff.
That's a fact.
That's a conversation that's had with the coaching staff, the GM, and all parties involved, and you have a schedule. So let me break down how load management works. They will come to you and say, yo, you're going to play in this game, we thinking about giving you a night off here, play the next one, and so is going to play this one. He's going to sit the next one out. That's the one you're going to play. And so it's never the players asking to not play games. We got to get that out. The NBA, they got a great marketing team, and they got a great marketing team, and they've allowed the players to take the brunt of the criticism with the load management conversation. Like I see people say, well, don't pay them for the games that they don't play. Why don't pay me when this wasn't my suggestion?
Right.
The players don't have, listen, we are real competitive people. And yes, load management, I think you should shorten the season, but that's a whole nother conversation. But you're not going to cut 15 games and 30 teams worth of revenue.
That's a lot of money.
That's why the contracts is where they at.
Right.
So I understand that part and not wanting to cut in the schedule, but from a fan standpoint, please stop criticizing players for load management. They are not the ones asking for them games off. It is a schedule, and it is planned out, and everybody that's involved has a say in it. And even I've seen more players buck on it than saying they don't want to play. Like, no, I'm playing.
Right.
Trust me. Tuesday, you're not going to play. Bro, I'm playing. I see more of that than I see guys accepting their day off. Only do you see guys accept the day off when you're getting late into the season and you knowing that you're going to be a playoff group, and now you just want to get through a healthy, and you got a pretty good idea where you're going to be in the playoff picture. That's the only time that I've experienced guys asking for nights off. So stop asking for players to not get paid. Stop calling players soft, because these are legit injuries. These motherfuckers got torn ACLs and MCLs and bad backs and knees and all of that. Some of y'all wouldn't be able to get out of bed with some of the shit these motherfuckers play with. Stop saying that they soft. You can't do it.
Yeah.
You can't do it. That's my soapbox.
Yeah, because it's a hard job, man. When I used to play, you know what I'm saying? It was,
You see what I'm saying?
we only had 30 games, though, in my high school. We only had 30.
He played in like 5.
Like 25. Like 25. We blew out everybody.
Yeah,
Pause.
but because a lot of the decision makers are behind the scenes, the fans don't have anybody to blame but the players.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can
right.
I?
That's
Yeah.
what I
Like,
say.
I'll use Kawhi Leonard, for example. He's been a poster boy for load management. Kawhi has never asked for a game off, a day off. Anything that he's physically capable of doing, he tries to go out there and do it, because they know that he's dealing with injuries. They manage his load, pause, because they don't want it to be a rupture or whatever, knock on wood, whatever that he's going through.
Yeah.
So that's where load management comes from. It's not because guys don't want to play, or because they soft, or they not competitive. It's because you got real injuries.
Yeah.
Play devil's advocate.
Let's do it.
Because on a lot of it, I'm completely on board.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna speak from, I want to say, a reasonable fan perspective, because
Talk to me.
I've lived it being with you, but I've also, before that, I was just a fan. Would you say that you've come across players that sometimes have milked injuries? I wouldn't say milk, but like when they
really got hurt,
I roll
they
my
could've
ankle,
been-
I could probably be back in 2 games, but I'm
But
turning into 6.
Yeah.
I have, but it's
No, but
never.
I was
I
gonna say
have.
you don't got any. I was gonna say we ain't got
I have, but it's never been.
Yeah, don't get them kings.
It's never been the
problems.
motherfuckers you care about.
Right.
Okay.
It's
I feel
never
you on that.
Right,
It's never been the guys that you care about. Now, yes, I've seen guys like myself, role players, that know that they ain't gonna play anyway, so I want to just keep my street clothes on.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's always them guys.
'Cause I
It's
feel
never
like-
been a Kawhi or any of these type of guys. Like, they try to go give you everything. But superstar guys, I've never seen that be they reality.
Like, I feel you in terms of like the load manage or whatever. I kind of feel like you can load manage and still meet the quota of games. I think that maybe they can. I think it's what is it, 67 games?
67.
That's like 81% of the season.
Yeah.
Maybe they can make it. You got to play 75% of the games, where it's still like you played 3/4 or you participated in 3/4 of the season. But like it is something to be said for showing up for work. Like, I do understand that sometimes that decision is not
think the
taken out
number-
of their hands. I also feel like there's guys that can load manage throughout the season and still play 65 to 70 games.
Yeah,
even
but
with
if you,
the
but
load.
some of this, but the part of the load management that we missing, sometimes you are genuinely hurt. So the conversation is shaped around load management. But if Jokic gets hurt and he got to miss 12 games, now he only got 3 games worth of the season to possibly load manage. So that puts your back against the wall when you have a legitimate injury. You dig what I'm saying?
I do, and not to be crass about it. I
No,
feel
you
like
already
that's
said
kind
you're
of
playing devil advocate. Let's
That's
talk about it.
that's the unfortunate part of sports, and I think that even when it comes to All-Star, that kind of happens. Like, without anybody saying it, like Luka was hurt, right?
Yeah.
We know he's top 24 in the league.
Yeah.
He didn't make the All-Star game. Why? Because he missed games because he was
games.
hurt. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, oh, he load managed too many games, but like, I think because the NBA labeled it and put a number on it,
Yeah.
people kind of start to push back. Like,
Jaylen Brown misses all NBA by 3 games this year.
Hey.
And we ain't never had a load management conversation about Jaylen Brown.
Brown at
You
all.
dig what I'm saying? And we never had to question his toughness. We never had to question his competitiveness. Like, so when you have legitimate scenarios like that, for an example, that's where I feel like it's harmful. Now,
I feel like that was self-imposed.
do you need a number? Do you need some, like, what is the number? What would be the number?
I feel like 75% of the games is fair.
Like 60 games?
Whatever, yeah, it would be like around.
I'm
60.
I'm
Like,
okay with that.
81 might be a little, 67 might be a little high.
Yeah.
But I think having
high.
a threshold is not the worst thing. But, you know, if
We can agree there.
You know,
I'm okay with a threshold.
having to be at
I
work
think it's too high
or
where it's
whatever, or to perform when you're making what players are making, like I don't think it's beyond the pale for an employer to be like, nah, like I need you to play a little bit more when you can. Like you said, sometimes it's not the players'
It's never
decision
the
to be on and
No,
and
I
off
want
the
to be
court.
clear,
Like,
Vic. It's never the players.
well, you said it's never the ones that we care about.
No, you said milk. Now,
Milking
the way
is part of that.
Well, no, the way that they even got on load management. No, we talking about two different things. Load management is having a conversation with the medical staff and saying, "Yo, these are the days that we looking at," and then from there, depending on how the season is going, depending on how y'all playing, you stick to that schedule. Now, when a motherfucker roll his ankle in practice and he know he ain't playing anyways, he might take a couple extra days. Them two different things. You see what I'm saying?
They actually get hurt, but they milk an extra couple
Yeah,
days.
them two different. Them two different things.
They are. I just feel like even milking a couple extra days or the games still kind of plays into being available or whatever.
I disagree because again, 90% of the time in my experience, bro, guys try to come back early before they try to come back late. All of them. So not all of them. I said 90%,
but also usually the guys that we care about is not really in that
usually
conversation.
that conversation is you come in, and I use Kawhi again for an example. You might come in the locker room and Kawhi is getting ready, and they telling him, "Yo, that thing's still a little swollen. We gonna take the night. No, I'm cool. No. This is what we doing. Man, I'm straight, bro.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I'm gonna keep real. I don't even feel like Kawhi should be in this conversation because he's
At this
actually been
point.
really hurt. But
At this
even
point.
before though, like he was hurt.
He was legit.
Like,
and so
That's immediate. That's the
but
media bringing it to him.
there go my beef.
that's
There go
the
my
media.
beef, Spank.
Yeah.
He has a legitimate
he was hurt for real.
a legitimate injury. So just because you getting frustrated and that's your team and you want him back on the floor, that don't make him soft because he's not available when you're ready for him to be available. So I use Kawhi because I watched that man prepare day in and day out. I watch how he go about this shit and he's never asked for a day off, bro.
Yeah.
And so with that, everybody just, you put a tag on Kawhi. If he's healthy, if he's this, it's like, listen to what y'all saying.
Yeah,
So
not.
that's the part
He
that
ain't.
that's the part that I want to clean up when it comes to the players, because I read some today where it was like, just don't pay them if they. I'm like, like y'all frustration,
pockets,
your frustration is rooted in the wrong place.
Fans got to realize if he's hurt and don't play, that's like workers' comp on a regular job.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like you can't not play somebody or not pay them because they hurt. Like if we get hurt on a regular job, we got workers' comp. Like that's the same thing.
Dude, Kawhi really laugh like that though?
Kawhi funny as fuck.
He really laugh like that?
And that's his actual
That's
laugh.
his real laugh?
Kawhi funny as shit.
My bad. That was just my bad.
Nah, Kawhi, cool dude.
But yeah, I wanted to clean that part up about the difference between load management and milking, like you said. Like, yes, it is guys that'll be like, shit, bro, I ain't trying to go to Salt Lake City tomorrow.
I ain't still tender.
Yeah, bro, it's snowing in OKC.
Yes.
My shit's still swollen.
swollen,
You know what I'm saying? My shit's still swollen. Like, you may see them scenarios, but it's never the household names. It's never the guys that this league is built on their backs. So ease up, fans.
Yeah.
Ease
Question
up.
though about Jaylen Brown.
Talk to me.
I know he was 3 games short, and I can't recall that he had like a injury, like, oh, he's out for like a month, like this season. But I also, because the Celtics, I feel like they were the modern San Antonio Spurs this year. Pop, when he used to rest Tony Parker, the only reason they started getting upset is because he started resting them on like national TV games. But like they weren't hurt. And I feel like that's kind of what the Celtics did this year. Like, listen, we're playing for a chip. Our dudes have played a long time. We're probably going to have some extra built-in days for them because we are that deep and we are that good and we can do it. And so him not making it, I feel like that's more of like a Celtics and him being like, I don't care, as opposed to it was unfair.
Yeah, it was unfair.
I don't think they was really caring about that, and they were looking at, we already got one chip. We got a legit chance to get another one. We're going to have a schedule where multiple guys are sitting throughout the season.
I agree with you there. Like you said, it was self-inflicted because they're looking at the big goal. The big goal is to be healthy going into the playoffs.
And they're that good that they can afford it.
Giving us the best opportunity. You make a great point. That is true. So in that part, when it comes to individual awards and a motherfucker throw it in the wind and say, I don't really care, I agree with you there. But even those conversations, it's never the player going to the staff and saying, "Yo, I don't want to play tonight. I'm tired."
I just feel like NBA could probably just lower the threshold a little bit. I feel like 75%.
Like 64, 62.
Because I think like 62 will put you right around like 75% of the games for the year. I feel like that's fair. Like, because then also the guys who are able to make it or do stick it out, like there is a reward for doing that, and not just like, well, shoot, they can load manage all they want, and they're still up for the things that like I fought through.
Yeah.
But 81 is pretty high.
I'm down for that. Let's go to college football right quick.
Let's get it.
Look, he giggling because he looking at the pad. So Colorado has announced that they are retiring Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter's jerseys as alumni, and you got some real opinions about it.
Nah, you go first because you got some too.
I do.
You want to close it out.
I do.
Nah, I just
You
want
want a headline?
I want to hear another perspective. I've been kind of seeing some
Okay.
stuff. Where I'm like,
Here
I
Here go my perspective.
Yeah.
I'm down for it because a lot of times what we have to understand is when you're celebrated by a certain team or an organization, that is their standard to be set, not ours. So if they want to get them motherfuckers statues and jerseys, that's based on the impact that they've had for Colorado, not how we feel about the body of work that they've put in. So with that, if them people feel like they came in and they were impactful and they changed our culture and changed community, and we haven't had this in God knows how long with the alumni that they've had, going from a non-bowl team to getting into that conversation, being able to do that, they're probably both going to be top 10 picks. We'll see how that goes. That changes your culture. That gives you an opportunity to go get other guys, this and that. And so for that, I'm not as against it as you are. If they want to celebrate them guys and that's how they want to do it internally, I'm all for it.
Yeah, they said they changed the whole culture over.
That's my thing.
They said they got a bunch of black students, you know what I'm saying, applying now. You know what I mean?
Think about it. Like we'll take it to
I'm with y'all to a certain extent.
we'll take it to a high school level, right? Like my jersey retired at Sal Gwinnett. The world's seen what I did. But if Meadow Creek decide they want to retire a guy jersey that was special to Meadow Creek, and he wasn't Lou Will, by all means, Meadow Creek, retire whoever jersey.
What about this though? Do you think it's too early? Did they retire your jersey second year in the league? I mean, they won't even. It ain't
draft is next week. They ain't getting that shit put in this weekend at a spring game, bro. At a spring game.
When else? What?
Like let the shit marinate. Let it marinate.
Okay, go ahead.
But not like okay. So I understand that it's particular, like what they did for the university, what the university wants to celebrate. I also feel like some of it is misguided. We talk about culture. What's dude's name? Sam Acho, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell. Sit your dumb ass down, bro. Talk about they changed the culture.
You see this version because
they did that. I'm like, no, the culture changed and all that shit changed because of Prime. They came with him.
That was his Louis luggage though, because you ain't had one without the other.
You can. Prime is the one is the driving force. Like, people are showing up because Prime is there. That shit is still rolling because Prime is there. All their paraphernalia, that junk don't say Shedeur, Colorado. That says Prime.
But you need it. But Prime, you need players to go out there and perform, and they performed.
Okay, we're gonna talk
two
about.
In the top
we're gonna
10
talk
is
about
dope. That's good.
They performed, bro.
Good. We can debate about whether Shedeur should be top 10, but that's another conversation. But
you got Shedeur. So what Shedeur, bro?
I actually think he's pretty good. I just feel like if you're taking a quarterback top 10, I don't feel like I should be convinced about all kind of analytical numbers and blah, blah. Like, this just should jump out on the screen. And I feel like he was pretty good. I feel like he was pretty good. I don't feel like
2 or 3 good.
Yeah, like
he made me watch college football.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I like them.
Yeah, but like overall,
now,
so we're talking about
competition-wise. You can make an argument that they weren't in the toughest conference, and they didn't have the schedule, and they didn't perform in the games that was considered like the big games and this and that.
They were 500 over 2 years. They got to one bowl game, got smashed by 35. If you're Colorado and you want to set a standard, why is Cordell Stewart's jersey / famous 2 bowl games, top 10, 210 finishes, 2 bowl game wins, jersey not retired? Like, if you want to make a case, you want to make a case for Travis Hunter. If you want to make a case for Travis Hunter, we can have a conversation because he won a Heisman. Rashawn Salam, they have retired his number. but it took them like 20-something years.
Right.
Heisman winner, clearly best running back. Like, we
sure.
didn't need no analytical numbers to back it up. But I'm like, I just kind of feel like this is more of a social media, like, content creation kind of a thing. Because I'm like, they went 500. You were only there for 2 years. Like, you didn't really build a legacy. Like, any legacy that keeps going is going to be because of the coach that's still there, which happens to be your dad. But, like, what is a signature? Like, we know more about your celebration. We know more about your car. What is like a signature? Oh, they beat Alabama, or they beat like who? What big dog did they knock off? Where it's like, hey,
They
you
knocked
know
off,
what?
what's the name in the first year, though? Was it TCU? That was
They
in
knocked them off the
championship
first game, and as that season progressed, TCU wasn't nothing.
Yeah, it got bad.
The
It got
playoffs
bad.
got expanded to 12 teams this year.
I was just saying,
Y'all didn't make the top 12 to get in the playoffs this year. So like,
I'm
to
picking
say
up
that
what you're
like,
putting down.
to say that like, hey, we're gonna retire who was our quarterback for that, like his number because of that. I'm like, nah, like that ain't it. That ain't enough. Like, I don't want to say we celebrate mediocrity,
Right.
but at the same time, I get it. Culturally, Colorado could do what they want if they feel that. But I'm like, y'all have people that have outperformed those guys who don't have a jersey retired at Colorado.
Maybe they want to do it where moving forward, other schools might start doing it too. Teams that's not mediocre, that's really killing, like a Cordell Stewart. What if he graduate? I mean, he goes to the league and they're like, you know what? Let's retire his jersey.
But
now.
it's all selective.
Instead of
It is
10
about.
years
It is
later.
You made a great argument.
Yeah, he did.
You
Hell
really
yeah.
made a great argument. But again, it's about the standard that you decide at your program.
Their program.
Yeah,
right?
I just feel like
what's
they
to
set
be.
a low standard and an inconsistent one. So maybe it was misguided, or I should be more upset at Colorado for even doing the shit.
Prime, these
But-
words ain't coming from me, Prime.
Like,
alright?
you think Deion Sanders prime in his day at Florida State, if they would have went 500 and then they would have been like, yeah, we finna retire your jersey, you really think he would have been like, oh, I'm about that?
I
No,
respect it.
like
I respect
what
it.
we doing?
Yes, sir. Well said, cuz.
So yeah, but then in the other news in college football, we also have a kid from Tennessee, quarterback.
Walk us through that.
Yeah.
What happened with that whole
So it was a
scenario?
situation where they were getting ready to have like spring practices or whatever. I guess they were in some kind of negotiation with NIL or collective at this point, and he was asking for a little bit more for in the collective money that he would receive. Tennessee didn't want to pay it. He got some advice to not show up to practice, and the next day, basically, Tennessee said he could walk, so he entered the transfer
We gonna
portal.
fuck with you, my boy.
Damn.
So a lot. There are.
So what happened? What happened from there?
I guess he's been talking to other schools to see, what he can
Right.
get from the collective money outside of the
I think
NIL.
I think it was.
I heard
UCLA.
that UCLA is where he might be settling at. I heard some football people just saying like the NC2A kind of like put both people in a bad position, because like where NIL and collective is now, where they can ask for a certain amount of money that's well within the kid's right to do that. It's also within the university's right to be like, I don't want to pay that much.
I agree.
So then, like, both people are looking bad. The kid is kind of out of a school, but then everyone's like, Tennessee's messed up. They should pay him. And it's like, nah, like, they're both right. Like, he can say, like, listen, we did this X last year. There's other quarterbacks in NC2A that are getting this. I want that. Tennessee could be like, nah, we don't want to do that.
They got to find middle ground with NIL and the collective, because I don't think the average college the college fan in general understands there's a difference between NIL and the university's collective. The collective is we got a pot of money where we can go out here and sign guys.
Yeah.
NIL is name, image, and likeness. So if you
sense.
got a car dealership in Tallahassee and you want the star quarterback to help you sell some cars, and in return you want to pay him for his name, image, and likeness and helping you doing so, by all means, pay that kid.
And that got nothing to do with the collective.
With the collective,
The
that's
collective.
like booster money.
So
and
what you can
alumni
do
money.
in the collective, you can go to Lincoln and say, I got 100,000 for the collective.
Okay.
So Lincoln can go out and say, all right, we got 100,000 in the pot. Let us go door to door with these kids and say, yo, we got 50,000 for you. And that is the collective. That's why you're starting to see former players named assistant GMs, because
They could pump money in legally.
if I at the number I'm putting money in this shit, I better have some say so.
Yeah.
So that's why you're starting to see a lot of former players
Okay.
being named GMs and assistant GMs
Like how Woj went back to his alma
Yeah.
mater.
at their alma mater.
Steph's gonna get it now.
Who?
Trent, Steph.
oh,
He's a
yeah.
general manager
Terrence,
over.
man, a lot of different
T-Man.
guys. Yeah, and it's muddied the waters because it's went from name, image, and likeness to pay to play.
Pay to play. Yeah.
And guys are basically going out there having a decent season, and like free agency, they are out there saying, "Yo, I'm good. Who got the cheese?" And there's no loyalty to the program, and that's what puts you in a position to have 7,500 plus kids in the portal. And it's no consistency. It's
and that's another reason why they're going from team to team too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because if Florida give me 60,000 Spank and I have a great season,
Right.
what you
get more
naturally, well shit, who got more?
Yeah.
So if somebody come in and say, well, we got 500,000,
I'm hitting the portal.
I'm going to last chance you.
Wow.
You dig what I'm saying? And so that part they got to clean up. So if these kids are going to start having agents, the schools are going to start having general managers and all of that, then it should be contracts. Then it's a 2-year deal, bro.
It's a 2-year deal. You can't.
Yeah, this a 3-year deal or this a 4-year deal.
We gotta get bought out.
And if you leave, we need a buyout. We need some of that cheese back, or you're gonna have to take a discount. I think that's where they gotta find middle ground with the name, image, and likeness conversation in the collective.
It's crazy, like how far gone NIL is. I'm like, man, this shit was supposed to be like. Jameis Winston shouldn't get in trouble for getting no free crab legs. That's what. That's what it was. Like the Ohio State kids that got suspended for giving that tattoo artist a jersey and getting a tattoo. Like,
if the school store is selling my jersey,
with
my number on it,
I can't give my jersey away for a free tattoo. Like, and now it's turned into a whole
I need $3 million.
Like, players getting suspended for getting groceries from agents or boosters. Like, that was what NIL was supposed to cure. Like, nah, you could get a hookup. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could be around town and be like the local thing. It's okay for you to get free food.
Yeah, like Cooper Flag. It is rumored that in the collective for Duke, they are putting together a package of $10 to $14 million to keep him to stay in school.
God damn.
You understand what I'm
Is he gonna
saying?
get that his first year?
Yeah. That's the number 1 pick you will. I think it's like 14.
It's like 14?
14 a year for like a number 1 pick.
Yeah, so like NIL and the collective are two different things. They got to find a gray area there where they clean that up. But
for sure.
Shout out to the Tennessee kid, boy. You gambled and got down. Sound loud.
Hey man, sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some, brother. But you made the choice.
Sorry, you mind laying back on his feet?
Yeah. Let's go UCLA. Cut him a check.
Yes, indeed.
But he's from Cali though, so you know he coming home.
There you go.
Yeah. Man, so I know we're getting towards the end, but there's one more thing I gotta put on your plate before we head up out of here, man.
Talk to me.
It's been a lot of chatter out in the hoop world lately. A lot of one-on-one, this and that and whatnot, and who could do what, who could do this against who. But we got a family.
This goes out to you.
Yeah, man, we got a guy that's like family to us, doing a lot of talking about his brother, and I'm like, yo, like you started to sound real aggressive about what you can and can't do against Lou Will in one-on-one. So I just want to see, what's your thoughts on that?
This is gonna be my last time talking about this shit until somebody set a fucking price.
She said, let that big talk.